You are looking live at the daily chart of the Nasdaq, and you can see today it pulled back to the 21 once again. These days are like, going to the dentist. Nobody likes to go to the dentist, but it's kind of necessary, to get your teeth clean and get your mouth checked out. And that's my analogy for today. This is a trip to the dentist. Back to the 21, kind of painful. The Nasdaq was down 145 points or 0.92%. Volume, a little bit above average. But it's been up a lot. Like I mentioned, if I go to the weekly chart, it's been up 14 of 16 weeks. It's had a massive rally from October 26th. And it's only had a couple of down weeks. Yeah, last week was one of them, and now it follows through today. So that's not good, but you got to embrace pullbacks. And you can see just from the daily chart here how many times it pulls back to the 21. This time it traded under the 21 for a couple sessions. This one traded down and bounced, and here we are again. That's why I said you always got to watch that 21. So anyway, we'll see what happens in the coming days and weeks. Remember, this is, the last 2 weeks in February are seasonally weak times. It's choppy, and I really don't expect much from the Nasdaq and the growth stocks. By the way, if the Nasdaq's down 1%, you can expect your growth stocks to be down 2 to 4%. That's pretty normal. Um, Anything more than that's kind of a rough day, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the Nasdaq had, just this is expected behavior. This is kind of normal. When you want to look and see what's normal and what's not normal, this is normal action. So, but I do want to see a bounce here by the end of the week. So something, just as something to find support here. Something like this here we had earlier. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these mega cap technology stocks. This is Apple. I'm going to stop looking at this one. This one is really diving hard. Warren Buffett, it was announced last week that he's been selling a little bit of his Apple stock in the 13F filings, and I guess there was a report out that the Vision Pros were being returned at an abnormal rate. Apple came out and said, no, it's just a little more than average that they were getting returned. So anyway, this doesn't look good. Technically terrible, below the 200. So not good for the Apple fans. Microsoft, sliced the 21 today and trying to hang on like a cat trying to claw onto the shelf. It closed 0.3% below. And we're just gonna have to monitor that one. That looks like it's a little iffy. Google, and sliced its 50 today. And it was up, right? Sliced its 50 actually on Friday, traded down today and closed the session actually higher. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart on this action. Yeah, sold off at the beginning and then pulled back nicely. So yeah, not a bad day for the Google. But you do want to see it trade above this pink line or red line, whatever you want to call it there. It's just hanging on to the 50, like Microsoft's hanging on to its 21. Meta Platforms, this is one of the stronger ones, just forming this shelf type pattern. That's an indication that institutions aren't willing to sell it. Sell shares are not buying it, but they're not selling it. Amazon down to its 21 as well. So you want to see a bounce there, 1% above the 21. So yeah, these stocks got to get it in gear, and the way they're going to do it is to get some help from NVIDIA tomorrow with their earnings report. This one traded down, not even down to its 21 today, which was a 669. It came down to 677. So it's in no man's land between the 10 and the 21. Yeah, just a strong stock, and they're just going to have to report good earnings tomorrow. And that's all there is to it. All right, that's enough of those stocks. I've got to get to the semis because the semis were really weak today, despite the news from the government, and they're spending a ton of money, and Global Foundries and Intel seem to be the beneficiaries of that. But AMD, which is a stock I own, sliced its 21 here. I don't like that at all. It's down 2.1% below the 21. So it's between the 21 and the 50. And man, if it wants to take a trip to the 50 there, it's a rising 50, but it's still, you know, at 156 today. It's still got a little ways to go. So anyway, this is a funny trading stock, and I just don't like to see it making these lower lows here. That's bad news. That's a 10-week line there. 10-week line in the 50 days, not quite the same. That's 161. So maybe it'll trade down there tomorrow. Anyway, that one is not good, but this one's even worse. This is MRVL, which did trade down to its 50, actually bounced a little bit off the 50 there at 63.97. It traded down to 63.53 and closed at 65. So that's the weaker one of these fabulous, the ones that I'm looking at. And then Broadcom just traded down to the 21. This is the stronger of those three that I just showed. Not as strong as NVIDIA, but certainly stronger than AMD and MRVL. But anyway, these things need to be supported at their moving averages and start, you know, they're trending higher. They just need to find support. Like I said, you know, we're going to have these days where there's going to be sell-offs. I mean, your stock's not going to go up every day or every week. So you just got to deal with it. I'm going to go to the software names because some of these were selling off today pretty hard. This is Elastic, just came down to its 21. You know, this is technically sound right here. This is trading well. They don't report till the 29th, which is, I don't know, what, next Wednesday, next Thursday. But yeah, trip to the 21 is not the end of the world. That looks pretty good, in fact. Snowflake, I believe it came down to its 21 also, and then bounced a little bit there. Yeah, it came down to 215.59. The 21's 217.31 and popped, you know, $3. Not bad for Snowflake as well. You know, that if they could support it to 21, you got to love that. You know, especially if the 21, you know, is trending higher like these ones are. Nothing wrong with that at all. MNDY, another one that just traded down. Is three in a row here, just trading down to the 21. This is just like the Nasdaq coming down to the 21, finding support. So this is good. This is healthy. As long as they find support, you don't want to see them slicing through like we did with MRVL and AMD. Datadog, not so much here. Datadog sliced its 21, came down almost to its 50 today, which is at 124.22, and the low is 125.10. So Datadog, maybe it'll bounce off the 50 again. We'll see. You don't want to take too many trips down to the 50. But anyway, ServiceNow, another software name, one of the leaders, traded down to its 50. And that's a big company here with 154 billion market cap. It was really having a nice trend, and now the last week or so is sold off down to the 50. So we're going to keep our eye on ServiceNow. And then Palantir, I know it was selling off today, yeah, 4%, but it's just down to its 10. So we're going to keep an eye on that one as well. Anyway, that's it for the software names. I've got to move on to the cybersecurity stocks. CrowdStrike has been really strong, trade down to its 10 today. You know, there was news after hours. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but it's 21 is at 310. Maybe it'll trade down there tomorrow. Got to wait and see how that shakes out tomorrow. Zscaler traded down to the 21 and bounced nicely. It's down after hours as well. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And then Sentinel-1 traded down to its 10, and it's down 4%, almost 5% after hours as well. So anyway, I'm going to have more on that later, but I got to get to some of these retail names. I like the retail sector. Walmart had a pretty decent report, and it was up like 181, and it closed at 175. So you could see it closed in the 10% of the closing of this daily range here, the bar near the lows. So not a great session, but I mean, it was up 3%, which, you know, I think we'll all take on a day like today. Home Depot, their report wasn't as good as Walmart's, but it's still, you know, it was up on the session or just flat. And that's a win for Home Depot. It closed above its moving averages there. All of the moving averages, 0.5% above the 10. So that's good for Home Depot. And it might take another couple of quarters for them to really get it in gear once again. It seems that people are spending their money more on experiences and fixing their homes, and Home Depot needs people working on their homes. Celsius is another Retail name that I have on our ready list, like Celsius. It trades kind of funny. It had a whale in here. It was just being sold for a while now. It's rebounded. It made this low and then retested it several times and recently bounced right through its moving averages. It popped right through there, and that's a real positive sign when you see a stock breaking through its moving averages. And now these short-term moving averages are trending higher. I still like it at 62.99. I had a buy point around 54 or so, but I still like this thing. And they're going to report earnings on March 7th. The standard paint by numbers would be 68.95, and it would probably blow through there as well. I expect a real strong earnings report from Celsius. And then we have the ELF. Just pulling back to its 10. The ELF, I don't even worry about this stock. It's really just a ton of growth. It's a growth machine. You can see it's just pulling back in lighter volume here. And actually, if you look at this little flag pattern here, it's starting to pinch in a little bit here with the higher lows. Yeah, I kind of like that pattern, but I don't expect it to do too much. In the short term, in February, these next couple weeks are going to be tough, but eventually I do expect this thing to trade up to $200 at some point before summertime. All right, I got to get to the drug stocks. People were whining. Eli Lilly's down $26. Yeah, big deal. This thing was up. Like, it's had a monster run, and it's way above its moving averages. It was stretched out a little bit, so now it pulls back. And that's fine. That's normal. Down 3%. This is why you don't chase stocks. If you're chasing it up here and expecting it to just go up every day, and then you get hammered 3%, then you start crying about Lilly coming down. But Lilly looks fine to me. Definitely trending higher. NVO, same thing. A little less of a sell-off today, 2% instead of 3%. But once again, this thing had a big run and it was stretched to the upside. And it's still, 1% above the 10. Any stock above the 10, I'm sorry, those were strong stocks and they look good to me. IOVA, I had this on the ready list. I thought it might come down. They had a secondary offering, so I thought it might sell off a little bit. But it didn't. It just popped and kind of stayed pretty steady all day today. That thing looks pretty darn good. It was up closed at 34% of its daily range, which you don't like. It was up 1341. That's what happened. It shot up immediately. Yeah, that's probably some short sellers just getting the hell out, and then some profit taking on the way out the door at the closing time. But that one looks good, and so does the VKTX. It was down today, what, a percent, 46 cents, big deal. I think it did make a new high before doing that, though. Yeah, and that thing looks fine. But they're stretched out. I mean, I'm not saying buy it here. I mean, it looks fine. It's still 14% above its 10 EMA. So, and it's a rising 10. So, yeah, I do expect it to pull back. Yeah, I mean, it's fine not to buy. It's fine. It's trading fine. One stock that I forgot to get to, and I'm going to get to it right now. It's GigaCloud Technology. This is one. This one had a terrible day. You can see the bar there, and it was halted like 3 times. You can see a halt here, and then another halt here, and then it hit the lows of like 20 and started bouncing rapidly up $4 or more immediately, and it was halted again, and then it traded higher and then sold off. But for the day, it was just a disaster. Down 25%. Pulled back to its 50. Technically you'd say, oh, that's okay, but when a stock makes a dive like that, that's not something that yeah, that's not something I like at all. Then I would shy away from something like that. And it's got to settle down. We want stocks that are trading tight. There's nothing tight about that. So anyway, I just wanted to show that GigaCloud, which is one of our leading stocks, and had been doing well and trending nicely. And that's the problem with, stocks that are, not that liquid. This is a $26 stock trading at 2 million a day, so 50 million. And if a fund wants to get out, it's going to make a big splash on a little stock like that. So it's only 1 billion, 1.1 billion market cap. So that's what happened today. Anyway. I got to go to the home builders because they were doing pretty well. I had this on our ready list. Lennar just bounced off its 50, not too bad. Pulte Homes up after hours, and it trying to catch up with its 50 here. It closed right at the 50, and maybe tomorrow it'll ramp a little bit. DHI, this is one that's well below its 50, even though it was up 1% today. That one looks terrible. And Builders First Source pulled back a little bit today, 0.5%. You'd call that flat on the session. But anyway, just trending in the right direction. I mean, like I say, when the Nasdaq's down, 1%, you're going to expect most stocks to be down. So anyway, that's it for the home builders. The insurance companies, I had these on the ready list. This is a Gallagher, and you could see why this is a nice, shakeout, sell off, building the right side of the base. I like this stock. It was up 1% today. And a higher volume than in recent sessions. So that one looks good. Lemonade is another one that I have on the ready list here, and this one looks good. They report on the 27th, trying to emerge out of a stage 1 base. You can see the sell-off here. Man, that's a massive sell-off in a long time. So if these guys can get it together, like the rest of the insurance cohorts, it should be pretty good. And of course, bro, can't go through insurance without checking out my bro. And this one's just trending higher, but like, once again, when they get stretched like that, you got to expect them to pull back. This one's still 1.9% above its 10 EMA. So that one looks good as well. And anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching. Except for I lie and honor the great Steve Jobs. I have to do this. I have to go to Palo Alto Networks, which is getting bludgeoned for good reason after hours. This is not good for our cybersecurity stocks. They missed. And I think there was some confusion too about how badly they missed on earnings and revenues. And that's not the bad part. The bad part is they guided lower for next quarter and for the full year. Their billings were lower. Everything, all metrics were pretty much lower. So, I had some people say, well, I'm up 25%. Well, to me, I would just get the heck out and let this thing settle down. There's no sense in trying to fight this. 17%. There's nothing the CEO can say that's gonna, change people's mind. This is a nice looking bull wedge too here. It's a shame, but 303, it's gonna take it. It's gonna slice its 50 tomorrow. This is not good for the other stocks that I showed you, CrowdStrike, which was down 6%, and I don't know if Palo Alto has really anything to do with CrowdStrike, but it's going to get a haircut tomorrow as well. And so will Zscaler. They just trade together, these stocks. So that's unfortunate. And then Toll Brothers reported after hours, and they had a nice report. These housing stocks are rate sensitive, but Toll Brothers had some good things to say about demand. It was up during the session today. And I had this on a ready list. I forgot it had earnings today, but thank goodness they were strong. It's up 3% after hours. And I just like this pattern here. This is the type of trading that I like. I don't like this type of trading. Oh my God, that hurts. Hurts to look at that. But anyway, Toll Brothers should buoy the housing cohort tomorrow. Palo Alto is going to bring down those cybersecurity stocks. And of course, we're going to hear from Vertiv, which is a data center play, and NVDA, which is kind of an important stock in the semiconductor space. Anyway, thank you for watching. And at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. And this too shall pass here, this little brief bout of selling. So hang in there and never give up.